We harvested a lot of acorns once for like a whole summer or fall season.
Okay.
That was pretty fun because we had for some reason we were just living under this tree we were in a yurt. It was actually where my last daughter was born, in a yurt in Santa
neat.
Cruz.
Oh,
And the
wow.
trees around us, I think they were white oak, and the acorns were just big and delicious. They didn't have high tannins, so
Okay.
it was amazing. It was such a big food source, and we just learned all about how to cook acorns that summer. Okay.
So we call this Been a While, and it's for those that come back, it's been a while. We missed you, and we're glad you're back. For others that are new, we just invite you to come and hang out in the bin for a while. So that's what this is all about.
I like it.
So hopefully you've been able to spend a little bit of time out here anyway. So I know when you're working on the road, it's kind of tough sometimes. So.
Yeah.
Well, so this is Erica. Erica, you hail from California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, and right now somewhere in the middle of Nebraska.
Yep. Yep.
So are you full-time RVer?
Right now, yeah.
Right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
since September of last year.
September of last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I dropped my daughter off at college. She's
Uh-huh.
going to OSU in Corvallis.
Nice.
And yeah, it started from there. My first segment was to just leave Corvallis and head down to southern Oregon, and that was probably the hardest leg of the trip because that was really leaving everything behind. And
Oh, sure.
I kept having to tell myself, I can always go back.
Yeah. Was Oregon your last home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful country.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even come close here. So,
Oh, you do?
well, if you don't look out very far. No, we still I love it here. I really do. But there's something about Oregon, the mountains and the valleys, the rivers, all that stuff. So Ocean's kind of nice. Yeah, I forgot to mention the ocean.
You lived in Corvallis?
We were living in Hood River, so right on the Columbia.
Oh, nice.
My two daughters are still in that area at this time. Yeah.
Okay. So I caught your profile in Boondockers. They provide a profile, and herbalism. Okay.
Yep.
And wild harvesting and cooking and a couple other things. Tell us all about it.
Okay.
What is herbalism?
Herbalism. You can say herb. I think that's the English style. Herbs.
I'm part English, so.
Yes. So I just developed an interest in herbalism a few years ago, and once you start pulling on that thread, the more you learn, the more exciting it is it's a nice way to engage with your surroundings, especially if you're traveling. Especially in this day and age, you can use those apps and identify trees and plants really easily. So I started gathering some basics. I think there's kind of starter herbs that get some people going, and
get some people going.
As far as like learning to identify to out in nature, just plants, decide that you actually want to harvest and use them nutritionally or medicinally. So there's kind of like this little bit of a leap that I've watched people go through. So it's learning to trust your own judgment and to think about plants in a different way than we've been taught, because a lot of times in our culture we're taught, oh, poison, don't touch, danger. So there's a little bit of it's not a learning curve as much as just a change in how you think about things. So for instance, when I was driving over here, I pulled over and took a little break and noticed that there were some plants growing off in a field, and I was like, I know that plant. And it turned out it was motherwort. That was the first plant I really grew and harvested and used as medicine personally.
Okay. Okay.
And it was just kind of funny that it was just growing there in the wild, and I would say 99, probably more % of people pass it by.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's
And
no
think of
doubt.
it as something to mow down.
Yeah.
In fact, it's drying on my dashboard right now. I'm gonna.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Put it in some tea.
So what would you use motherwort for?
So that one I was using. So I haven't used it in years. So I kind of forget all the. The thing about herbs is they're kind of cross functional. Like
Sure.
they can affect your body in lots of different ways. But just even the name motherwort, I can't quite. I was going to look it up actually. I know it's a very nutritional. A lot of these medicinal herbs are just really very nutritional. They've
A lot
got
of vitamins, and
vitamins, minerals,
antioxidants.
yeah, all kinds of good stuff that just sort of supports your whole system. But if I remember right, it's good for women, so probably women's reproductive systems. I was having children at the time, so it might have been for supporting that part of.
Sure.
I don't remember anymore.
Yeah,
I have
no,
to
that's
look it
okay.
up.
You need to find the right herb from memory, right?
Yeah.
When you find it, let me know. Oh shoot, I forget everything. So that's it sounds like a fun learning adventure.
it
Sounds like a
is.
good experience,
Yeah.
and you feel like it really does help, obviously, or you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Now you're talking more about plants in the wild, less about plants that you would grow yourself, or would you grow motherwort at home?
I've grown motherwort. Yeah, I started with seeds and grew motherwort initially.
Okay.
There's lots that are actually considered invasive weeds that I have let grow in my garden because I want to harvest them as food or medicine. Dandelions probably the biggest.
We have a wealth of them here. You're welcome to take any you want.
Yeah.
So dandelions, what do you use dandelions for?
So dandelion, another very highly nutritious plant. I spent one summer just digging them out of my lawn because I had this lawn full of them, and pulling up the roots and drying and roasting them, using them as a coffee substitute, which you can buy in the store now. Like it's kind of funny that I'll see some of these things available commercially.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know.
I could have done this. This could have been my life. Yeah.
Or 10 years ago, people wouldn't have understood or thought it was, interesting or valuable. And here it is now. It's in a package on the shelf. Pay $15.
And you pay a lot of money for it. Yeah. So coffee substitute made out of dandelion.
Dandelion root. It was a lot of work. Just to get any kind of volume of the dandelion root. So if you pick it up on the shelf in the market, it's going to be mixed with like chicory, maybe some roasted barley or something. They cut it with a lot of other similar plants.
Sure.
But so dandelion root, that's a really powerful cleanser for the liver, and then also kind of by extension the skin. So that's one of my favorite ones.
What's the craziest thing you've ever harvested that just sounds scary?
Oh, well,
I mean, dandelion sounds scary to me, but I don't drink coffee anyway, so I've tried it and I just don't like it. But
oh, yeah?
someday I'll grow up. Does it taste like coffee, going back to Dan?
It does. Yeah, very similar flavor profile, yeah.
Never have to buy coffee again.
There you go.
She drinks coffee.
We have plenty of coffee beans here.
So it's just is it just you extract the oils out of it or something? Or
No.
Obviously there's no dandelion beans.
Right. That would be easy, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't that be nice?
No, this was just digging up the root, washing, chopping, roasting, grinding. That was that process, yeah.
Okay. How many dandelions to a cup of coffee?
Oh my gosh, it was a lot.
Really?
I mean, that was a lot of work. But I got a pretty good jar full. I was pretty, satisfied with.
You set a day aside and that's what you do.
Oh God, yeah, it was a lot of work.
Okay.
Do you measure it out similar to coffee or?
Kind of, yeah, pretty similar.
You put it in a coffee maker, like with a filter and all that, or do you just let it steep with water?
Yeah, I probably brewed it more like a tea. Yeah.
You've actually given me a really good idea. I think we're going to start and maybe start Mr. Dandelion instead of Mr. Coffee. We'll have a Mr. Dandelion machine.
There you go.
Chops, does it all. So, yeah, maybe not, but anyway. Yeah, well, good. Yeah, we have some other folks here, and their dog is rolling around in our corn crib. I thought, what is that? Oh, it's a dog. So anyway, got distracted there for a minute. So back to my scary question. Anything scary that?
Water hemlock is extremely poisonous, and it looks a lot like wild carrot. So I don't harvest anything in that family. It can look same leaf structure and stalk structure and flower structure, and there's only a few differences between the two. So I don't ever try to harvest
Just don't
wild
even
carrot.
Go there. Do people do that then? Do people harvest the wild carrot?
Yep, it's one of those things where there's an abundance of caution. Like water hemlock, it will kill you if you pick the wrong plant. So I just don't even go there.
Where do you find water hemlock? Is it near water? Or part of the country, or all over? Or?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be near water. I think it's wasn't it Socrates that was? I think the philosopher Socrates. That's how he died. Water hemlock.
Interesting. I'm going to say yes, just to sound like I'm intelligent like you are. Yes, absolutely. That's what happened. Until fact check, right?
Yeah. We need to fact check that one. I believe it was Socrates
Interesting.
that was given a bowl of water hemlock. So it doesn't have to grow near water. I've seen it a lot in Oregon in fields. And that's the other thing, is it does grow near these other plants that look a lot like it. So.
Oh man, that is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Now I've heard that one way to tell if a plant is poisonous is to rub a little on your skin and see if you react. Is that wrong? Not something you've heard?
I wouldn't trust that.
I'm sure it was from some reality TV show or something like that. I don't really remember where I got it from, or maybe I just had a bad dream one night. But anyway, I remember hearing something about you rub it, and if it reacts, then you don't eat it. So
it's probably one good place to start. But even if you're, a seasoned forager, all the cautionary advice is, if you're out finding a plant, even if you're familiar with it, just try a little bit at first, wait a little while. I mean, pretty much people have to do that to, cover themselves if they're putting out a book on wild harvesting. So
either that or have a wild forager go with you every step of the way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any fun foraging stories just something that you just remember that experience and it stands out for some reason?
Shift a little bit here.
The sun is heading right into your eyes now, huh?
Yeah.
One day my daughter came home with lion's mane mushroom.
I've heard of that.
And that was in Oregon, so I wasn't surprised that it was growing there, but I was just surprised that she remembered what it looked like, and she just grabbed it, brought it home, and we ate it, and it was really good.
Isn't that is that one that doesn't really necessarily resemble a mushroom? It looks more like
a shaggy, funny little furry thing.
So like the microphone right here, like this.
Yeah.
Don't eat the microphone. So how do you go about cooking a lion's mane mushroom?
Just chop it up and saute it, and it has sort of a crab-like flavor and consistency. So we made it with some scrambled eggs, and it was sort of like crab and scrambled eggs sort of experience.
Oh, nice.
But probably I've had lots of different. We harvested a lot of acorns once for like a whole summer or fall season.
Okay.
That was pretty fun because we had for some reason we were just living under this tree that was we were in a yurt. It was actually where my last daughter was born, in a yurt in Santa
neat.
Cruz.
Oh,
And the
wow.
trees around us, I think they were white oak, and the acorns were just big and delicious. They didn't have high tannins, so
Okay.
it was amazing. It was such a big food source, and we just learned all about how to cook acorns that summer and fall.
So
It was
how
actually
does
fall.
one cook an acorn? This is all new to me. This is great.
Well, you go through the process of getting them out of the shell, and then you have to do the leaching process with water, so just lots of baths of water to get the tannins out. It was not hard because these acorns were low tannins.
Okay.
I've tried it subsequently with other acorns, and it was miserable. It was not easy. We couldn't. So really, the variety or the type of acorn really matters. So we only had to do a few baths of cold water of rinsing, and at that point you just end up with like a chopped up gruel, and then at that point you can add it to cookies or pancakes or breads or
Interesting. Okay. Coffee.
coffee.
So
Is the sun too much for you?
What I've heard is that we need to change the view of the camera every once in a while. So we're going to pretend that we're doing that. We're just going to move the table.
Oh,
and
okay. That sounds good.
And then that way we'll have a different view for people to look at. Is that far enough?
Yeah.
Let me make sure we're not
For now.
too close and they can see.
These back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's going to work. And we may or may not edit that out. We'll figure that out when we get there. So, anyway, acorns go in just about anything.
Yeah, anything you feel like making with them. They didn't have a strong flavor. This may be slightly nutty, as you would imagine. Very palatable. So, kind of whatever you wanted to add them to. They were complimentary, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the tannin, does that just make it bitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
And it's hard on your system. Like your stomach's not going to feel good if you eat something with.
so don't just go picking acorns and eating them.
Right.
Not a recommended thing. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
even imagine trying that. So, yeah. Anything else in your foraging journeys, or have you gone on trips specifically to forage, where you've been gone for a week or two at a time foraging?
Not specific. That's kind of a funny question because so my mother died last year in June, and so
Always hard.
Mother's Day was a couple of days yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday. So
Couple days ago.
couple
2
days ago.
yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Time flies.
Yeah. So I was kind of reflecting on my mom, of course, and I was remembering a time when she came. So she did what you're talking about. She came to visit us in Santa Cruz at the time,
Yeah.
with the intention of going and harvesting a bunch of seaweed
Oh, interesting.
in her little truck.
Okay.
And she did that because at the time she was living in Nevada, and she just felt like harvesting seaweed. So she came to visit us. We went down to the ocean, pulled a bunch of seaweed up.
Yeah.
And I remember she had it on our back porch, and she had it in groups, different kinds of seaweed.
Huh.
And then she went through the drying process, and then bundled it up and took it home. And she just proceeded to eat it as a part of her diet.
Oh,
you
wow.
know,
Okay.
in
I guess
her
that makes
kitchen.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what is it? I'm not very cultured, so you'll have to forgive me. Seaweed is used a lot of times for sushi,
Yep.
for the wraps and stuff. Did she use it in that format, or did she just cook it and saute it?
I really kind of wish I had asked her because I
Yeah.
didn't really know how she used that much seaweed.
Yeah. A lot of seaweed, huh?
Maybe she shared it with people. Or I imagine she put it in soups.
Okay.
There's not a lot of alternatives for how you're going to eat seaweed. I mean,
Yeah, that's probably true.
it's kind of chewy and tough and
Huh.
yeah. But who knows?
Now, did she take you down the foraging trail, or did you take her down the foraging trail?
I think she started it.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did she do some of the things like acorns and motherwort and stuff like that too, or
Not as much.
not as much? That was more
Yeah.
your thing.
Yeah.
So, did you start that when you were at home with her, or later in life?
Later in life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what got you going down that road? Just the health ideas?
I had a health crisis,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking for alternative healing. And I was in an area where there was a natural health food store, and I remember I would walk down the aisle, doing my regular shopping, and see all the jars of herbs,
Oh, okay.
and thought, oh, that's nice, that's cool, but didn't ever stop to really learn about them.
Sure.
And I think when I had that health crisis, I just started to ask, like, what would be good for this thing that I'm going through, and then
Uh-huh.
I think it started there. And
Did you end up being like a YouTuber where you get in there and watch all the videos on that, or how did you do your research?
this was a while ago now, so
This
I don't.
was probably pre-YouTube, okay?
Yeah,
Or
it would have been great if I had started a channel back then, because
yeah, no kidding, no kidding.
I knew a midwife,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually had a lot of just friends who were also into natural healing. So once I kind of had an open mind to it, there were
Mm-hmm.
people who could give me information and advice.
Yeah, nice. So I leapt to the conclusion the other night when you pulled in that you probably were more of a vegetarian type person or vegan or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
And I'm dead wrong. Tell us about the other side of your...
Well, the other side is
and it's not necessarily the other side. But
yeah.
It's a different side or
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, it's the whole picture.
The whole picture, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a vegetarian. I have done some primitive skills gatherings where we butchered, preserved meats, brain tanned hides, made clothing out of hides. What else? There's any number. These primitive skills gatherings, they have all kinds of different classes you can take, and it's been a while since
Uh-huh.
I've done them, but I was taking my children to these
Uh-huh.
gatherings for a while because I wanted them to be exposed to some of these traditional ways,
Yeah, yeah.
forgotten skills.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, haven't done hunting, but I've been around people who have, so
Mm-hmm.
I've ended up participating in that process.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And what got you started down that road?
Gosh,
You ran out of dandelions?
I think that started when we were living in Colorado, and
Okay.
so to back up a little bit, I had been eating. To back up even more, when I had a health crisis, I started eating raw food a lot,
Okay.
which I think was very good.
Raw meats?
Not raw meats, just
Okay.
raw foods.
Raw foods, okay.
But that was in Santa Cruz, where there's an
And
abundance.
no judgment, by the way. No
Yeah.
judgment. So.
In Santa Cruz, there's an abundance of fruits, veggies,
Oh, yeah.
and
She's a California girl.
Yeah.
So from inland a little bit, but yeah.
yeah, so it was easy to do that there. And then when we moved to Colorado, I noticed that, it's a lot colder, and there's not a lot of farmers markets until like the summer comes around.
Yes.
So it was like a natural shift of my diet to just start to kind of participate in the local fare, which happened to be a lot of hunting and meat and those heavier foods.
Right.
And so we had some friends that would go out hunting, so we would end up getting like elk or deer. At one point, we were living in a little town called Carbondale, and a deer actually had, in the middle of the night, jumped up on a fence and actually impaled itself.
Oh, man.
It was just such a random accident. And so we kind of thought, well, it's right there.
Yeah,
And
that's right. Yeah.
dead. And
Yeah.
it obviously happened, it was winter. So
Oh, okay.
we took that and used that as like a chance to once again teach the kids some skills, some practical skills of just, butchering an animal. And so we did that a few times, and that was the culture there.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. I've wanted to do some of that kind of thing, never have, and not just for the idea of butchering an animal. I'm sure some people would be upset with that, but
Yeah.
I think that if it's well used, not wasted, sport hunting, stuff like that. No, I'm not into that.
Yeah.
But if you can have something and eat it and use as much of it as possible, I think that's great.
Yeah.
So that's, I believe, why we have animals. But anyway, we're not going to go down that philosophical trail. But so
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds like were these like a weekend thing, or were you gone for a week doing these, or?
We were right in the area where it was just sort of lifestyle.
Okay, so it just was part of it.
Part of it, yep.
Very good.
The Colorado mountains, a lot of people go there specifically to hunt, so it was pretty easy.
Well, what other crazy things have you done? You've led a full life, it sounds like. That's awesome.
Quite a few different things.
Got in a camper and went across America.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of doing that right now.
Yeah.
What else? Specifically around these kinds of skills, or
just anything.
anything?
Just kind of what I tell people, and I'll tell you as well, is that I think everybody has a story. They've lived some things, and not everybody's got to live. And I kind of feel like a lot of us have a story down in there we want people to hear, but nobody really wants to listen. But they really do. They just don't tell you that. So just if you had some stories, some things that that kind of stand out in your life that maybe molded you, or whatever the case might be. But
there's a lot now that you're asking me. I feel like I've had many different lives, kind of packed into one. But when I was in high school, I decided I wanted to go be a model in San Francisco. So my brother happened to live across the bay in Oakland, so I lived with my brother for about a year. And at 15, I was taking the BART into San Francisco.
Wow.
And going to the modeling agency and doing shows, runway shows, and photo shoots, and
oh my goodness,
meeting photographers, and that was quite the learning experience for a 15-year-old.
Oh,
I can't even imagine. That'd be a learning experience for anyone, but any age. But well, how long did you do that?
I probably lasted about a year, and that was about all I could handle on my own.
It's pretty high pressure.
Yeah. Yes, and the dark side is definitely there. There weren't the nicest people sometimes, and there were people who just wanted to take advantage, or just I really could have used some help from someone. I was just doing it on my own, and I feel like part of me just knew that I was kind of in a world that I didn't know how to navigate. And
And what about school during that time? Did you?
I just went to school. I went to school in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay.
And then took the bus.
Yeah.
Took the BART. Yeah.
Bay Area Rapid Transit.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That'd be an adventure. That's
it was. I think that's what I was all about, was the adventure more than anything. And maybe I just found that I did that, and that was enough.
Have you heard of a guy, Jordan Peterson? He's a podcast in eBay. Yeah, he speaks way at this level, and I'm way down here. But I know that one of the things he talks about a lot is the adventure. You know, that we all need an adventure. And you just had a few of them. Did you do some other things besides the modeling?
Yes.
that you care to divulge? You can always say no to.
Yes. Right around my senior year, I guess I was ready for another adventure, and I decided that I was going to get out of high school early. So I took the GED, and I wanted to go travel in Europe. So I kind of said goodbye to my class and took my bike and went on a tour of England, France, and Belgium.
Nice.
I think I made that about 3 months before I had enough adventure and wanted to come home, ran out of money.
You stay in a hostel. That's usually
happens.
That's usually the thing that gets you back.
Yeah.
Did you stay at hostels and all that?
Yes.
That thing? Okay. So we just had some friends that they're not RVers, but they're friends of ours, and we had a big conversation. And they took a big trip to Europe and found each other there, and
We met each other.
They met
Well, yeah, they were in the same. It was a college. What do they call it? Study abroad
Yep.
time, and so that's where they met. And
they ended up
Yes.
going to Russia, which at the time was very, very difficult to do, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, well,
Yeah.
neat. Any highlights from that trip? You were just all alone.
I was all alone again.
Man.
Yeah.
So loneliness isn't a big issue, because it seems like that's kind of
Yeah.
you're as a single RVer, and
Yeah.
you're perfectly fine as long as you have little interaction from time to time, even if it's behind a camera.
Yes. That part's important to me, to be able to connect to people, for sure. I don't want to just be alone.
Yeah.
That keeps me going, making connections and new friends, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's turn the discussion a little bit towards that. So you're on Boondockers Welcome. Most of everybody that stays here is, and except for if we live here. But I guess we are too. But how long have you been part of that? How many Boondockers have you been to? Harvest O's ballpark, and have you met some pretty neat? Had some pretty good stories
Yes.
from those
Yeah.
adventures.
Yeah. So I started that membership right around when I dropped my daughter off at college.
September of last year.
September of last year.
So that's not very long ago, but yet it's forever ago. It's both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did stay somewhere in Corvallis for a week at a great little spot. It was kind of similar, kind of more of like a. I wish I could remember all the details. I don't remember his name, but he had a bunch of old cars and old machinery and buildings with all kinds of metal fabrication. I mean, he took me on this tour of
Oh wow.
so much old history,
Oh, how
and
cool.
yeah, he had a lot of stories to tell. So that was a pretty fascinating way to start. Very
Oh yeah.
gregarious man who just
Yeah.
wanted to talk about all kinds of stuff. And I have an interest in like manufacturing and history, and so
You
that was
have
fun.
such a broad base of interest. That's how do you keep them all straight?
That's
That's
a good
awesome. Well, keep
question.
going. This is great.
Yeah, so he, gosh, wish I could remember his name, but anyway, that was a great way to start. It was also kind of by a field where there were some horses, so
Oh nice.
kind of like fed everything, all my interests. And as far as other places I've stayed, not a whole lot more, just a few here and there.
Okay. Do you usually stay at Boondockers, or do you do the Walmart thing or RV park?
Sometimes I'll do Walmart. Sometimes I'll do Planet Fitness.
Okay.
Just last week I was in Loveland for 3 weeks because I was going into my job, my office. So I just paid for like a RV spot so I could have everything just stable for a few weeks.
Oh sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But I try not to spend money on those kinds of spots because it
Yeah.
adds up fast.
It adds up really fast. Yeah, adds up really fast. So I know a lot of RVers, they have Planet Fitness memberships, and that's where they shower and get some of the stuff done that
Yeah.
it's a little harder to do in the campers on the road. So So I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah.
So they let you park there as well then as an RV, or you just,
So far, I haven't been kicked
Yeah.
out of anywhere.
Oh, good. No, we're not going to kick you out, so you're fine. But no, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
So let's see. There's something else on your profile. What was it? I've lost it. Well, anyway, so you've been on and off of Boondockers since September. You've been on
Yep.
the road. Did you do any RVing before September, or did you just go, here we go?
So I've actually owned this scamp since I think like 2015.
Okay.
And I've always kind of had it like plugged in to a house. So I'd use it as like an office. That's,
Oh, okay.
you know, or like a place where I could get away while my kids were, you know, in the house. Or
Yeah.
we'd have animals that would run around and
Yeah.
turn into kind of like a difficult to work in space. So it was my refuge. So
Sure.
I've sort of tried it out, you know, just sort of trying to get used to actually thinking about living in it permanently, or full time, I should say.
Uh-huh.
So I've made some improvements to it. I put a standing desk in there so I can
Oh, okay.
work. It took me a while to kind of figure out those pieces of,
Uh-huh.
you know, working remotely, like the power,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a small place too, so I don't have a lot of room for everything.
Yeah.
So it needed some repairs. So I've slowly been working on it, and I've been learning as I go.
So you do most of your own repairs then? You do most of it, or?
Yeah, I'm not super proud to say that because some of them are not good.
But do they work?
They work.
Yeah.
They do work. Yeah.
So that's all right. That's good.
Yeah.
How do you, as a single female, now I've learned from other boondockers that we've had, single females that are on the road, and you may or may not be single, but anyway, females that are traveling alone on the road. I've learned that there aren't many single solo guys. Let's just call them solo guys. It's almost all solo females that travel alone. And one person that was talking to me about it just looked at me and said, "Yeah, we don't need guys. We do just fine." And then another lady that was just here, we got a recording with her. She was really funny. She said that most women don't know how to back a trailer, and the reason they don't know how to back a trailer is because the minute they start, some guy comes running up and tell them how to do it. And she said, if you just ignore them and do it, you'll figure it out. Don't let the guys tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I'm sure you do just fine. So
I've gotten better. There
Yeah.
have been many humiliating times when I've been trying to back up, and
guilty as charged.
yeah, probably the worst one was it was some rest stop or gas station out in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. So big open place, probably at least a dozen truckers all parked right there, wide open. And I was trying to back up, and it was just the most ridiculous display. And I had all these truckers laughing at me. I could feel it. I could see them laughing at me, but you know, I've gotten better with some practice.
Oh yeah, it all
Just
takes
wave at
time.
him.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for not coming up and telling me how to do it.
Right.
So yeah, you learn as you go, and
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was pretty decent at it, but I don't know if the camera sees that little wagon back there. It's a little farm wagon. Anyway, I can't back that up to save my life. It's got the front wheels are right up the front of it, connected to the hitch and everything, and no matter what I do, it goes somewhere else. So
It has a mind of its own.
we unhook and back and
Yeah,
push
we
it
do
in.
push it.
There you go.
2 days later, we finally.
What I don't understand are people who can tow three things. So they've got a truck,
Oh, yeah.
a trailer, and
Yeah.
then a boat.
Yeah,
I've
I know
seen
it.
that.
I've seen that too.
And how do you get out of that if you have to back up?
Or a lot of parks, a lot of boondockers, whatever, they have tight quarters. You don't have a big open field, so
Right.
not a big open field, but an open field. So
Right.
anyway, but well, that's you've gained some skills. What are you most proud of from your RVing? As I scoot around a little further.
Probably, let's see.
other than the fact that you're doing it and having a good time. Hopefully you're having a good time.
I am having a good time. Yeah. Probably just that I've been able to manage all the logistics and keep my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Tell us a
amazing.
little bit about your job.
So my job it's a full-time corporate job.
Okay.
So I have to be online, plugged in. I have to be able to, have meetings
Yeah.
and communicate with people on a global scale. So like different time zones. So that's a whole skill set in itself. Just
Right.
being available like that and
Right.
and still being able to travel like that has been, there have been times when it's been a little hard. And so that's probably the skill I'm proudest of, is to be able to go, like, arrive in a new city and be able to figure out Google Maps where I'm gonna do all the things I need to do.
Yeah.
And be able to still punch in for work. And
Now, how do you get online? What's your Starlink or?
I have Starlink. Yeah, that's
Okay.
been a Starlink Mini has been a super reliable, probably one of the best decisions I made.
Nice.
Yeah, to bring that along.
Yeah. Okay. So it connects pretty
yeah.
much anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah.
As long as you have power, right?
The power is a whole other thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's funny because the people I work with, most of them know what I'm doing, but of course they see it as oh the freedom, like
Yeah.
you're so free.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
Yeah, not so much.
what it is I just have a bunch of different chores to do. They're not house chores, they're travel chores.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot involved in it.
Yeah,
So, excuse me. So you program.
I'm a programmer. Yeah.
What can we ask what you program or who for or whatever? Or is that, would you have to kill me if you?
It's a company called Hawk.
Okay.
They make water quality testing,
Yep. Hello.
instruments, solutions. Hi. Oh, okay. Hello.
You don't know these dogs. Yeah,
These are the neighbors' dogs, but they're welcome anytime.
Yeah, come on. Sit down.
So it's.
So I build websites for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Hey,
That's about it.
let's get
Yeah.
down. You wanna
I
get
do
down?
some website stuff, and I really have a hard time keeping up with the technology. It changes so rapidly, and
Yeah.
everything going on now with AI and everything else going on. So,
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of dizzying, actually.
it is, yeah. Keeping on top of things. How long, much longer do you plan on working, or is that one of those? No, I'm not going to answer that questions.
I don't have an end date in mind. I mean, I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
I still find it fulfilling.
Good.
There are some, dark clouds on the horizon with AI and
Yeah.
everything changing, the economy, the
Oh,
supply
yeah.
chain, the tariffs. I mean, it's been pretty rough.
A lot of unknowns.
A lot of, we've had reorganizations, and
Oh yeah.
so there's been some uncertainty, and that's added another level or layer of, stress, I guess.
Oh sure, yeah, absolutely. Do you think
Yeah.
being on the road helps or hinders in that vein with the stress? Is it more stressful or less stressful?
That's a good question.
And there may not be a good answer, because I'm not sure I could answer that either. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm on a mission, so that's what drives me. Whereas if I was just doing my job, it might drive me more crazy if I didn't have another plan going, which is just, I'm on the lookout for property to buy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, it can't be in Oregon or the West Coast. I'm just priced out of it.
Oh, it's so expensive. Yeah.
Or even Colorado, probably.
Colorado, any of the places I've been that are on my bio,
Yeah.
I've had to leave.
Yeah.
Even Idaho, I was just looking at Idaho, and
I think
Yeah.
a lot of California is moving to Idaho. At least that's what I hear.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. Yeah.
From
Same thing.
just
And
found
the
my
prices
family,
have
so-
escalated there pretty substantially.
yeah.
So it makes it tough. Now, we lived in Colorado Springs for about 20 years. Loved it. and came back here and initially hated it. But once we got out onto a little acreage, it's just has really, really helped. And I think for me, a lot of it's been just having people like you come by and things like that. But other than that, just the open space and we have. Here's how I rationalize it. We have the extreme hot, extreme. No, it's not. It's not extreme hot, not extreme cold. But the spring and the fall are usually really, really nice here. And I would almost venture to guess the number of really nice days here probably isn't a whole lot different than Florida or some places even in California.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that is because there are a lot of spring and fall days that are really nice. But is that true? Probably not. But I still say that to make myself feel better. But no, we like it, and we've got into the agriculture thing a little bit, and chickens, this, that, and the other thing, stuff that we probably wouldn't have done somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I've got about 1 minute until the sun goes behind your camper. It's so close. If I were a little bit shorter, I'd be in good shape. I don't know about you. You're kind of.
I'm there for a while, I think. That's all right.
So anyway, it's the way the sun goes here. But yeah, do you have any place in particular that you would look for property or anything that stood out?
Well, it's a pretty daunting mission because I am not familiar with the Midwest.
So is that your mission then, is to find property?
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What would stop you from coming to Nebraska, for example? Yeah, that's an okay to answer truthfully.
Well, I just arrived here and I'm liking it so far.
Yeah.
I do have a friend in Cedar Rapids that I wanted to visit. She's kind of what drew me to this area.
Yeah, okay.
Because she was describing her garden. And I met her over the winter. We were both in the Yuma area, so we got to spend some time together being snowbirds this winter. And
nice.
So she just described her area. I'd like to see what it's like there. So there's a lot of land to look at. There's a lot of states, and I'm not really sure where to go. I can get on Zillow and I can find some properties that look interesting, but it's a big job
until you get there.
And you're getting a real small snapshot of Nebraska right now because you're not here when it's 10 below zero,
hot and humid,
or hot and humid, either direction, because it's hot today, but it's not humid.
Right.
And in the middle of the summer, the humidity will kick in, and it isn't pleasant.
Yeah.
So, but you learn to adapt just like anything else. So, it's just right there.
Do you want to move the table?
No, I'll be okay. If you'll be okay.
We should move it back to where we were.
Actually, we could move it back. So, yeah, let's
Want
move
to?
it back. Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Told you I'd knock that over.
How far back were we?
Is that better or worse?
It's good for me,
Okay, I'll be fine.
and I'm the important one, so.
We're all important. We'll take a look real quick.
So have your daughters picked up on your herbalism, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
enjoy doing that, and they kept doing some of this primitive skilled skills?
They have they've picked up some things on their own now. So when COVID hit, we all moved back in together because we all had a housing crisis. And,
Right. It happened to a lot of us.
Yep. we all got washing machined, so we just decided we were living in Colorado at the time. Could not find a place to buy or rent. It was crazy. So I just kept casting my net, like,
Goodness.
maybe we should go back to Oregon where we have some family. And a place did come up there, so we all moved in together. So my oldest two daughters, they're 32 and 26 now. So 5 years ago. They're 5 years younger. So young women. And, living with their mom. So
Yeah.
I'd say now that we've all left and we're doing our own things, now I'm hearing that they're starting to pick up the sort of habits that I was doing. So
Yeah.
they're cooking, making
Yeah.
biscuits, making teas, just
Fun.
Yeah, that's always kind of fun to know they appreciated some of the things you taught them. Yeah.
yeah. But they didn't really participate a whole lot when we were living together. So the last place we were together was on a farm.
Okay.
We had chickens
In Oregon?
in Oregon.
Okay.
We had chickens, goats, cows, dogs, cats.
So when you say we, does that mean that they were on the farm or you owned them as a part of the farm? Were they your chickens, your cows?
So is my friend's farm.
Okay.
They have 17 acres,
Uh-huh.
gorgeous property,
Oh, I bet.
barn, pastures, Mount Hood, Mount Adams,
Man.
garden, little cherry orchard, apples, pears, pond. I mean, just beautiful.
And besides that, it was pretty nice.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was all right.
Wow.
So when we moved there, my friend, she was happy that I was willing to help with, a lot of the chores, mainly milking.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So it was a true homestead?
Yeah. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Neat.
So I was milking. Occasionally the girls would help me milk a little bit, but they weren't that into it. But you end up getting, a gallon or two of milk a day.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
now what do you do with this milk?
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
it to the dogs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
drink it, make cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they weren't really into doing all of that, which kind of was a little bit sad for me. Like, here we are on this
Right.
perfect, homestead. Let's do these things together. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things where the culture doesn't support it, so it's not a priority to their peers.
Right.
I wouldn't call it weird, but it's just not a priority for
Right. Yeah.
them. So,
Yeah.
but I know the exposure, it's something that they'll take with them.
Right.
I was on a road trip in October and I got started listening to homesteading and podcasts and stuff like that. And I just thought, oh, what a life. I mean, it's really hard. And we are nowhere near a homestead, but, it's kind of, if you, we have chickens, right?
Yeah.
So
You have a garden.
In a garden.
in a garden, chickens in a garden. We have
Hey,
no
that's
cows.
where you start.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I haven't told you about the cows, have I?
No.
I haven't told myself either, but there's a lot of things I'd love to do, but it's so neat what a neat experience though.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't at the time for them, but I think it's going to be something they always look back on and go, wow, that was cool. We got to do that.
Yep.
So
That was my goal.
yeah,
That's fine.
yeah, for sure. So the hunt goes on. If anybody has land for sale, or they want to donate to a worthy cause,
Yeah, there you go.
you get a built-in
Yep.
programmer with it. So
Yep.
no, that's really good. So the thing I remember now is fine art. So
Yep.
tell us about your fine art adventures.
Another chapter of my life. So this is going back to early 90s.
Okay.
I'd always done art throughout high school. And then I met my first husband early 90s, and we opened a sign shop.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of back to like my manufacturing
Sure.
past, where
Yeah.
we would build signs, install signs, paint, design.
So are you also a graphic artist then?
Yeah, I was kind of doing graphic art at the
Okay.
time.
Nice.
I was doing a lot of murals.
Wow.
I have several murals that are up in, still up in New Leaf Market in Santa Cruz area.
Okay. Wow.
I was commissioned to paint murals through
Oh man.
their little chain there, and I think they're still up. They should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is decades ago now, but so that was a great time. I mean, that was right before the .com bubble. So I was driving over the hill, which means going from Santa Cruz to San Jose,
Okay.
and people would pay all kinds of money to have an artist come in and paint a mural.
Oh,
I mean,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I'd get like $500 a day to paint something in a nursery or in a kitchen. And
Yeah.
I mean, that was the heyday. That was
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
But all good things come to an end.
Yeah.
And
business just dried up then when the dot-com boom busted?
Yeah, that threw a wrench into our business, but probably the biggest change was when the sign industry itself was taken over by computer software programs.
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah.
So all of a sudden people were just buying the software and a plotter and turning out signs, for half the price.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really what led me into programming, because in my mind it was sort of like, well, if maybe I could learn how to build a website, that's sort of like a sign for a business,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like their
for sure.
storefront online. So that got me started down that road. But then our sign business kind of died at that point. It really trickled.
Oh, that's too bad.
Ended.
Yeah.
I went in a different direction. At that time, my husband at the time decided the direction he would go in was tattooing.
Oh, okay.
So the sign shop, we had a beautiful house, an old house that was kind of similar to your farmhouse, just probably built in the late 1800s.
Oh, wow.
It's still there. It still kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
But anyway, that building, we turned it into a tattoo studio, which was just all the rage back then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we rode that wave for a while. But our marriage ended. Tattooing kind of brings around a interesting clientele that was not good for my ex-husband at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that kind of
that's too bad.
that was the end of that. Yeah. So I went into programming, and we got divorced, and he continued tattooing. I tried it. I did some tattooing, but just kind of realized that it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's art, but I did not enjoy the whole scene. I didn't like it.
Yeah. Now, do you have any, like a website or anything that you've done about you that would have maybe feature some of your art or something like that? And the reason I ask is we could post it if you were interested. We don't have to. So
I can see if it's still up.
Okay.
I put one together for some other reason, so it's kind of simple, but I can see if it's still up. I have not checked on it in a long time.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Kind of a little nostalgia there. So fine art. Wow, what a modeling fine art, wild foraging. I mean, there are things
There's
that
a lot.
yeah, there are all these things that you wouldn't necessarily go, oh, that's one person did all that. But that's cool. What a neat life. So you get to share a little bit. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking.
oh, absolutely. Anything else? Any other stories that just stand out in your time that, or have we exhausted you?
That's yeah. I'm not used to talking about myself that much. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that sounds good. Well, we're glad you're staying here with us another day or two, and hope everything is good. And if you need anything, for sure, give us a holler. But yeah, it's been good. And if the house goes up nearby, a little land, we'll let you know.
All right.
Actually, I've seen a few signs nearby, so there's probably is something. So, all right. Well, thank you, Erica. I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
and
my
just
pleasure.
sitting down and chatting, and maybe we'll catch you next time you're through on your way to your new land.
All right.